Here are your solutions to the letter problems in Lesson 3, Chapter 4, Functions. Letter A, they ask us to find each function value. So we have f of 2 if f of x equals x minus 4. So what we're being asked to do is replace x with 2. So we have f of 2. We could consider that the 2 goes in both situations here. F of 2 equals 2 minus 4. And therefore f of 2 equals negative 2. So our answer for letter A is negative 2. Remember, it's a matter of placing the value in the rule. Letter B, we have f of 11 if f of x equals 1/2 x plus 5. So placing that into the rule, we can have f of 11 equals 1/2. We're going to multiply by 11 plus 5. Well, 1/2 of 11, 1/2 of 10 would be 5, so another half of that would be 5.5 plus 5, and that would give us 10.5 or 10.5. Either answer would be acceptable in this case. Okay, problem C. Choose 4 values, and remember I asked that you use -1, 0, 1, and 2, so that is what I'm going to use. Choose 4 values for x to complete the function table for the function f of x equals x minus 7. So we have -1, and remember to fill this part of the chart out every time you do one of these. This will be really good practice for you. -1 minus 7, 0 minus 7, 1 minus 7, and 2 minus 7. And now we have -1 minus 7 would be -8, 0 minus 7 would be -7, 1 minus 7 is -6, 2 minus 7 is -5. And then the other thing it says is state the domain and the range of the function. So realizing that we had all of these values here, our x values would be the domain, so we should say domain equals in ascending order -1, 0, 1, and 2, and then our range in ascending order also is -8, -7, -6, -5 with brackets. Okay, let's take a look at D, E, and F. A scrapbook store is selling rubber stamps for $4.95 each. The total sales, f of n, is a function of the number of rubber stamps sold. Let's look at this the old way. We would say that y is our output equals our slope. Well, $4.95 each is a unit rate. That's our slope. And our output, a scrapbook store is selling rubber stamps for $4.95 each. The total sales, so our output obviously would be sales, equals $4.95 times our input, which obviously is the rubber stamps sold. They're using the letter N here, so we'll use an N here. So it's 4.95 times N equals our output of sales, or dollars. So it asks us to identify the independent and the dependent variables. Well, in this case, they're saying that f of n is our output, and 4.95 times n, with n being our input. So identify the independent and dependent variables. Well, if you think about it, how many dollars we make depends on how many stamps we make or sell. So the dependent variable would be referred to as f of n because it is the number of stamps. So f of n is the number of stamps sold, and that is dependent. And the independent variable is n, is the independent variable. Now it asks you, what values of the domain and range make sense for this situation? Well, we are always going to have an output in multiples of $4.95. We can't make $5. We can't make $7. We're not going to make even numbers of dollars. So first of all, for the domain, which is our input, so for the domain, we would say the thing that makes sense is whole numbers. We can't sell half a stamp. And for the range, we would say that the only values that make sense would be multiples of $4.95 or 4 95/100. And then lastly, it asks us, let's put some room here, write a function to represent the total sales and then determine the total sales for 5 stamps. So our function is going to be f of n. Our output equals 4 95/100 times our input, which is n. There's our equation. Now they ask us for 5 stamps. So we merely use 4.95 times 5 to get f of n. Now actually you can all do this in your heads, because if we think about this, if they were $5 each and we sold 5 of them, that would be $25. And if we didn't make that nickel on 5 of them, we'd have to subtract that 25 cents. So our answer is going to be $24.75. When you do guided practice, please use these values for your inputs for problem number 2. Use -3, -1, +2, and +4. That way you can check these answers versus my answers when you view the guided practice video. Thank you.